it's hard for me to stage things. Anyway, I want you to realize how simple and how profound at the same time the cosmic key is and how effective it is. But I also want you to realize that you already know a lot about the cosmic key if you've been working with transit Saturn.
Does this tell you what the
And yeah, those are, I can pass those out actually. You all have, I'm sure, ephemeruses, you know how to get information, but it's good to have a yearly ephemeris of the planet's movements. And what I've done is I just printed out a couple pages of it for you, which you already probably have. But what I want you to do is know that you can look at Saturn's movements month by month and month. And if you look at Saturn, you'll realize that it's been going retrograde now. How many know that, right? And if you look down the column, you see Saturn at the top. Where does it look for May? Saturn. 27 Sag, right? Now you notice it says RX at the top, so it's going retrograde, meaning it's going back up again. So it's coming, it's went over my Grand Cross and it's going to go back across again. Aren't I lucky?
Oh man.
Now, here's the thing. If you look at it, it doesn't move out of here. It doesn't stop doing all this till about December of this year. So approximately you know one aspect of the cosmic key already, and that's transit Saturn. But as I've told you many times, I've been around astrologers for a lot of years, and I've always heard them speak very with anxiety and trepidation because Saturn's doing this in their chart. And generally nothing happens. And I often used to have a hard time with working with transit Saturn because it didn't have a constancy and a dependability for me to use it as a predictive tool. And so I worked mostly with progressed moon and with the new moons. Now I base that on scripture. The new moons are scriptural because it says, "Let no man judge you, and neither meat nor drink, nor the Sabbaths or the new moons, which are a shadow of things to come." Well, the Sabbaths were held on full moons, by the way, in the old days. They were considered Sabbath days. Feast days also, full moons were considered feast days. So let no man judge you, neither meat nor drink. In other words, don't let anybody judge whether you eat meat or don't, or if you're a vegetarian or you're whatever you might be. Don't let people judge you, neither meat nor drink. If you imbibe a little bit in wine, don't let some people judge you about that. In other words, it's not about your food. It's basically telling us that. Nor the Sabbaths or the new moons or shadow of things to come. Now that's where I began to understand the new moons were a shadow of something to come. They were predictive tools. So I've used new moons for years, and with quite a bit of accuracy. I also, I've used always the progressed moon. There's a scripture backs that up, by the way. Did you know that? It says a day equals a year in the eyes of the Lord.
Okay.
That's progressions. Because if I want to know your 13th year of life, I go to the 13th day after your birth, and that's called a progressed chart.
Does that relate to, they say when God created the world in 7 days, they say it was actually 7 years. Is that why they say that?
A day equals a year. That's interesting. I never thought about that. No, that's translating it backwards. I like it. But that's the mind of an astrologist. That's the mind of somebody that sees things in many layers and can comprehend things on different levels. It gives us that strange thought process that most people don't have. I love it. That's, show me relationship. You read my book, it's full of relationships, words. I'll turn them around and find out what they mean. I got to see the root of them. What's that coming from? So, anyway, so basically that where Saturn is for the next few months, for the next half of the year almost, right? You know that.
In Sagittarius.
Yeah, and it's in latter degrees, 27. So if you're looking at
Jupiter with Saturn.
No, I didn't say Jupiter. It's not about Jupiter and Saturn. It's just that Jupiter's in Sagittarius. So when you're looking at a person's chart, you're instantly knowing where their Saturn is. You know that transit's where it's at already. So now you only have to apply 2 more things. And that's the rules we're going to go through. And I'm going to show you how accurate they are. And you have my book now. And you can see these things very well. What did I do with my changer here? I was walking around. Oh, maybe here it is. Good. So, lost keys of astrological forecasting. Okay, we just talked about this. Sabbaths and new moons, which are shadow things to come. For many years as a practicing astrologer, I've been using techniques which have a very high degree of accuracy and which work to reveal the accuracy and power of the astrological technique in predicting events. But even with this exceptions, there was always deviations from the expected results. And I always thought I had to live with that. There's a scripture that says that where there's prophecies, they shall fail. The scripture actually says that, it shall fail. But love never faileth. You remember that scripture? So I kind of live that too. I think that if we are loving people, when we're working with a chart and you're working with a client, it's so important you're right there with them. Not worrying about your fees or whether you're doing it right or wrong. It's about all that ego stuff. Ego gets you tripped up because you're worried about what if I make a mistake? Well, so what? If you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're any other profession, you're allowed to make mistakes. Be kind to yourself. That's okay, especially when you're learning. So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't have such expectation that, geez, what if I say this and it's not true? I jump off the limb all the time because I just do. My spirit says say that, I do. Karen's the same way. It's Karen in Newfoundland. I was teaching the last class. I was teaching you that double-bodied signs on the fifth house often represent two children. At least two, right? Maybe more. But she was doing a client's chart the next day, and she says something said just one child. This person has one child, and even though it had double-bodied sign, she said I spoke that, and it was of course accurate. But that's because that inner self is listening to that as well, and you can't get tuned to that inner self unless you're here now. Think about it. I told you many times that the power of Jesus, Jupiter, the prophet planet is Jupiter in your chart. If you're going to operate on Jupiter's level, you have to walk in Jesus's level. And he was very loving, forgiving. People say things to me they would never say to anybody else. You know why? Because they said, what could have I done worse than Ron? Ron's already done all that. He's been there. He's not going to judge me. I won't. They know that. They know there's no judgment in me. So they open up and they talk to me and they tell me things that they wouldn't even tell their own family. In fact, that's what our friend said to us yesterday. I haven't even told my father this. Nobody knows this, okay, as I'm talking to him. So that ability to be in confidence with another person comes with your ability to be there and love them and show that love. And how do you show the love? Think about what is love. It's patient, it's kind, it's forgiving basically. It's not judgmental. What's the scriptures give it better? Says it better than I do. But love is being in the presence with that person and actually listening to them. Because we always want to assert ourselves. We want to. They got a story to tell. Well, I got a better one. They're already thinking of what you're going to tell them about your life. Instead of just being patient and listening and absorbing what they're telling you, because they have a message for you. They're trying to give you something. Remember I told you my teacher, Percy, said sometimes people come to smack you upside the head. Everybody's a messenger. He used to tell me that. He said, everybody walks in your presence. The stupidest guy you think's the most dumb, that has nothing, that seems totally worthless to talk to, the bum on the street, they all come to you. If they get in your presence, they've been sent to you. And respect that they're there and see the God within them. And what is that person trying to communicate with you? Maybe it's a smack upside the head. Maybe that's what you need. You need humbling. But we don't see that. We're so threatened by life. We don't embrace it. We don't know how to embrace those things in those situations that come to us. In a client-patient counselor relationship, you have to learn this skill. You have to be able to listen, not just talk. Not get into your own ego about how good you are and whether you're a good astrologer, but be a loving person that embraces them and sees them in the moment. If you see them perfectly in the moment, you'll know their past or future. Do you know that? That's the only way you can gain access to their past and their future, is being present in the present. And then you become prophetic. People say, how do you know? And part of it is you're listening. When a client says to me 3 times in a short session when I'm doing a chart, I'm fed up to hear with him. I'm just fed up to hear with him. After 3 of those, I stopped her. I said, Phyllis, can I ask you a question? Don't get alarmed. And don't get upset, but can I ask you a personal question? Sure, Ron, anything. When's the last time you had constipation? Oh my God, Ron, how did you know that? I was in a hospital with it. It was so bad. How did you know that? Because you're just fed up to hear with him. The Word is made what? Flesh. And he grew in grace and in truth. How are you growing? Are you planting all those seeds of negativity? Are you saying all those things that destroy your sense of health and wealth and being? You know, because you don't know the power of the tongue and the power it has to destroy your life and your health. So that makes you prophetic. Ron, how could you know that? You're so wise, Ron. No, I'm listening. I'm hearing you speak. When people say, it'll be the death of me, like my friend yesterday, be the death of me. I said, no, it won't be the death of you, unless you keep saying it. Makes me sick and tired. Well, you don't have to be, but you keep saying it, you're going to be sick and you're going to be tired. Keep affirming it, keep affirming it. Keep affirming you've got this disease and that disease, and keep saying it over and over again. You'll surely keep it, and you'll never get rid of it. Elena has a hard time with me. You know, she has a hard time with me, because, you know, I'm a stubborn guy. I know I am. But she's stubborn too. But we bump heads every now and then. Who's more stubborn? Actually, she's more stubborn than me, I think. But anyway, we can argue about that. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that, you know, when somebody affirms, like the doctor says, you have type 2 diabetes. Well, her way to deal with it is tap on my diet, and she did. And I went back 3 months later, and I said, where's my metaphor? And you're going to give me a prescription for this diabetes. You know, I can't give you a prescription. I said, what do you mean you can't? You told me last time I was here, you're going to give it to me. You no longer have diabetes, Ron. You're pre-diabetic. After 3 months of letting her feed me right, getting off the sugars and the carbs and all that stuff. So, you know, there's two sides of this. But the other side of it is, I will not affirm I have something. I won't allow it to be said. You say it to me, I'm going to counter you. I'm not going to let you keep affirming over and over again, I've got a disease, or I've got anything wrong with me. I separated my Achilles tendon. The doctor said you have to have surgery, you'll never walk again, never walk right again. Most painful thing I ever had happen in my life. And I went to the finest doctor there is in Miami. He's well known. He does the sports figures that have these injuries, and he tells me what he's going to do. He's going to attach my toe tendon, and he's going to make another, and this and that, and it's going to be. Every time I was scheduled for surgery, something would come up. And I couldn't make it. You know, I couldn't go because I had cellulitis. He said, "Well, get rid of the cellulitis. We'll reschedule. Come back next time I'm supposed to go. Same thing." So now 4 months go by. I'm getting stronger and stronger because I'm just decided I'm not going to give in to this. And I walk and I walk. Today I'm normal. I walk. I don't have the balance I should have in this leg. But the whole point I'm getting at is that, you know, I can't buy into it all. I got to just keep. I am whole. I'm healthy. I'm wealthy, wise, and I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. You know, that's the affirmations I keep, and we need to keep that in mind. It doesn't mean you're putting your head in the sand, but you can't keep saying you have something, because the more you affirm it, the more it is. You have to recognize that. It doesn't mean you're being stupid and naive and ignorant of your problems. You work on the problems, yes, but don't keep giving voice to them, because it only makes them worse. Every time you say it over and over again, if I kept affirming that, I don't say once in a while I do now, as I've got up to 80 years old, I'll say to my wife, I'm getting a little old now, you know, I'm not the same guy, you know, she'll say, don't ever say that, because she knows the power of the word. I don't affirm my age, you know. I try not to. I try to be youthful, young, and healthy, and vibrant, and virile, and I'm all those things. And I'm going to keep that consciousness, because I want to be, I am that I am. Remember Christ, I am that I am. The Holy of Holies says, I am that I am. Boy, I take you on trips, don't I? Huh? You're supposed to be on this trip, but wow. But there's more to it than just this. The power of the word, the power of the speech you have. You need to listen to your clients when you're with them. Listen to what they're saying. If you hear those words spoken, you almost know their problems. Go from the chart and see it. Like Karen did yesterday with her client, you know, she told her, you got stomach problems. She knew it from the chart. The cosmic key was speaking to her, saying, there's something wrong with this woman's stomach. She's a good friend. She would never told her that she got Saturn problems, but she did. And why does she have them? Because she's holding on to resentment and anger with that Saturn-Mars afflictions. Anger and resentment. Saturn never lets go, never forgives. Saturn's living in the past. Remember what Christ said to Peter? Get behind me, Satan. Behind me, Satan. You know? There's so much to all this stuff. You get in metaphysics, you'll see so many levels. So, you have one, that's Saturn. You know all about Saturn now, right? It's in that chart. You know where it is. You don't even have to do a chart. You have to do nothing when you pick up a person's chart. The next thing you want to look at is the new moons. Now, I made a new moon list for you. Did you all get it? Off the table?
No.
Yeah, well, the most recent new moon was in Taurus, 2 degrees Taurus.
Exactly.
Right.
Before that, it was about, what, 3 degrees, 4 degrees Aries. They don't change much every month by degree, but they go backwards a little bit. Usually 1 or 2 degrees at the most every month. So I had a new moon thing on here somewhere.
Give it to us, I think our first
You all
day.
got the new moon
But I don't
list?
see it now.
If you need one, I'll give you another one. You can find out the new moon in an ephemeris very simple by seeing when the moon and the sun are together.
Yeah.
Right? That's a conjunction of the moon. That's a sun and moon. Now, you every month you should, when I do a chart, what I do is I put the new moon down outside the chart month by month by month for the whole year. That's part of my chart I do for them. Because that way I can see where that falls. Now, if that second hand is the new moon, let's assume. Now the minute hand is the transit Saturn. Okay? Now add to that the hour hand, which is the progressed moon. Now you got the 3 things you need to understand. If they all say the same thing or all line up together, you got a message there. If it's all crucifying him, they're going to expect some problems with that. So being the author, I don't need to read. How many of you read my book already? Did you read this? How many?
Reading
Part of
it.
it.
Part of it?
Yeah.
So you've read this part of it. Basically, it's from my book. So, I used to do this on the radio for years, and I had never saw the person, wouldn't see them, didn't know anything about them, but I could read. I could read their charts very accurately. I have recordings I could play. I told you. I mean, I could see things that you had an accident in 1967, and you're legally blind. And I'm talking to a person on the radio, and they don't say a thing. I said your father was abusive and an alcoholic, and your mother was a saint. I got that on recording, and the guy doesn't say a word. I'm out on a limb. Now, this is what I mean about jumping off on a limb. This is going really deep into the meanings of that chart and going ahead and speaking my heart what I see. He doesn't say a word till I should play that for you. So anyway, towards the end of the reading, this is on the air. Everybody's listening. Well, Ron, that's interesting. He said, I did have a car wreck in 1976. I'm legally blind because of that. He said, yes, my father was an alcoholic and abusive father. And my mother was voted Mother of the Year in 19 whatever, and she was a saintly woman. Exactly what the chart said to her, So when you see that, you got to jump out. There's something in, because I need confirmation now. My ego's still there, no matter how much I think I've evolved. I'm hoping I'm right, but I don't want to be right. But it's a bad reading I gave him, but it's something I see. Now, I have another woman calls in one time, gives me her birth time, and I start reading her chart, and everything I say is wrong. She keeps saying, no, that's not right, that's not right. I go through, and I'm shattered. I'm like, my ego is totally wiped out. Because now, all of San Francisco's heard that show. They're listening. It's a big station I'm on. And I know that my reputation has just been put on the line and totally demolished. Now, every reading after that, I'm timid. Everyone. Until the last caller calls in. I got this on tape. She said, Ron, I can't believe I got in. Because they used to light up the lines. It was hard to get in to call me because people would call in for reading. She says, I have to tell you, Ron, the first person that called you was my daughter, and I told her to call in and get a reading from you. And she says, I don't know what's going on, but she didn't give you her birth information correctly. That's not her birth date. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, but there was the last, thank God she got in. Because it was like, she redeemed my confidence. Because let's face it, confidence is an interesting word. It means con to be together with. Fidelity, faithfulness, is fidelity is where the rest of the word come from. Fidence. Fide is the god of faithfulness. We call dogs Fido. Why? Loyal. They're loyal friends, right? Faithful is what it means. So to be faithful and together with your faith in yourself, if you lose your confidence, you've lost faith in yourself. And that's what I had done on that reading. Okay, knocked the wind out of me, so to speak. So we're always subject to that too. You don't think about it. If somebody gives you birth information, it can be incorrect. I had a reading when I was doing I used to do parties, and people would come and they would all pay so much, and then I'd give them private readings. And it was sweet 16 parties. Sometimes there were kids, sometimes there were adults. One time I was doing adults, and a woman sat down, and everything I said, you got 2 kids. No, I don't have 2. No, this, and I kept everything was wrong. And I said, I stopped. I said, no, I can't read your chart. I'm so sorry, because everything I'd read before was accurate. And so we're talking, and then she says, "Is that my chart?" Because it was sitting on the table there. In the middle of the chart, I used to have a place where the birth information was in the center in the charts I used to do. And she's looking at it, she said, "Is that my chart?" I said, "Yeah." So that's not my birthday. Says, "I wasn't born in October, I was born in August." So the woman, the host, had given me the birth information and given it to me incorrectly. So I couldn't read her chart. So it was amazing, because that is like confirmation. This is how accurate this stuff is. If you don't have the right reading, the right information, you can't give a reading. So I went on to do another chart for her, and I said, "Your husband's a police officer, isn't he?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "He had a car accident 2 weeks ago, he injured his head." She said, "Well, he injured his arm, more than his head." And then, everything was on. It was like right zero on it, But why I see specific things sometimes I don't know. Because I think I center in on that chart. I try to be there with that person, and my soul speaks to me. But you need to you'll develop that as you go. You got to remember there are levels of understanding in a chart. There's physical, there's emotional, there's mental. These are all layers. So when you look at the moon, you say, "Oh, got emotional conflicts." Oh, that's great. But that's the mother, isn't it? That's the relationship you have with your physical body as well. That's your breast and your stomach. It's like when Karen and I were looking at the chart the other day, it's stomach problems in this woman. And it's coming from this Saturn-Mars affliction to it, which means she's not forgiving, and she's holding on to anger all the time. It's causing her to have physical problems. So those are layers of understanding of the moon. You see where I'm coming from? You can go so deep on these levels. You don't have to just read you got Saturn, you got Saturn square the moon, you've got emotional depression. You see, that's a reading, isn't it? It's a reading. But is it all of it's about? The problem, my dear, is that you hold on to the past too much and these hurts you've had. You see, now you're a counselor. Now you're taking them a level beyond the reading and giving them something they can't overcome. You're saying, look, the problem is caused by this. Her intestinal problems are caused by her lack of forgiveness, her anger towards her ex, who locked her out of her cabin that they had mutually bought together because he's got a new girlfriend now, so he changes the locks on her. She goes over there with her daughter, she can't get in, she's upset with this guy, and she's angry, and she's got good cause to be, right? So how do you counsel her? How do you tell her that you're destroying all these ill thoughts you have towards him is only making you ill? Because it doesn't affect him. He doesn't even know you're having those thoughts. But every time you have those thoughts and those feelings, those emotional feelings, the moon, you're putting it inside you, and it's going to destroy your body, your temple. Not going to destroy him, it's going to destroy your body. So that's where the counseling comes in. When you're working with a client, you're not just there to talk about their problems, you're there to show them how to get out of them. And if she can let go and forgive. So my counsel to her, Karen, are you still there? I turned you down. Are you there, Karen? Are you still there?
I'm here.
I turned the speakers down. Okay. So the point I'm getting at, I see Tammy's back too. So the point of this is that I want to make you into therapists in a way, people that can help people, not just going out there reading all the bad things in their chart and leaving them depressed and upset and saying, God, I wish I hadn't come for that reading. I knew things were bad, now I know they're worse. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful of what we say to people and where we're taking them. What's the point of all this if you can't help somebody? What's the point of this if you can't counsel somebody? What's the point of this if you can't make their lives better? You might as well get out of it. Don't do it. Huh? Am I being tough on you? Get out of it. Don't hurt other people's lives with it. Don't build fear and trepidation in their life, you know? So, anyway, let's try to move on. I'll try to keep it flow. Okay. I'm going to turn the speaker down because it's